You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode 176.
Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets.
What's up, coaches? In this episode, I'm going to talk about what to do when a potential client says no. So what happens if a potential client is not interested in working with you? They've got concerns, they've got objections. I want to share how to approach this. Now, I also want to start out by saying that a lot of my initial followers or potential clients, most of those individuals started out as a no, or they initially said no or had some hesitation to work with me or hire me or engage in whatever kind of programs I've been offering over the past decade. But so many of those potential clients became paying clients, even though they started out as no's. So when someone says no to working with you, then there's an opportunity to really go deeper and understand what it is that is concerning them. So the most important thing you need to know about this is that do not take no at face value. So if someone says no, or if they have some kind of objection to working with you, like they say maybe they can't afford it or they don't have the time or whatever, there's so much going on in their life right now, then that is not something that you take at face value and just accept and let them go. Now, you might hear that and immediately think, oh, well, then that's very pushy for not taking a potential client's no at face value. And I want to be very clear. When you ask questions and you explore a potential client's no or concern about working with you, you are not doing this to push them into making any decision that they don't want to make. What this is about is you're showing genuine interest in what their needs, their concerns, and their desires are. And when you do this in a thoughtful and respectful way, which I'm going to go over in this episode, you will learn how to ask questions that will actually enhance the trust and rapport that you have with your potential clients. And the reason why is because when you have an engaging conversation with someone about why someone is saying no, this really does build trust, and it shows them that you're really interested in understanding their perspective and you're very committed to providing them with value. The other thing to know is that a no often masks some deeper concerns that someone is having, and those concerns need to be addressed. So when you probe a little bit further, you can actually uncover what those real concerns are, and you can resolve those concerns with the potential client. And in the process of doing this, you will find that a lot of initial no's will become yeses, excited yeses, and enthusiastic yeses. So a lot of times the objections, the only way to really explore them is by having some kind of a dialogue with your potential client. If you just were to take a no at face value, then you lose the opportunity to clarify any kind of misunderstanding that your potential client might have, give them any information that could be helpful for them, and alleviate any kinds of concerns that they may have. Okay, so when you have different questions you can ask that can clarify their concerns, then this will lead them to making a more informed decision, which is beneficial for both you and both them, right? That's really the name of the game. We don't want to push our client to a yes. We want to inspire them to make an informed decision. If that informed decision is a no, or if it's a yes, at least it's informed versus just an automatic no that hasn't been explored thoughtfully. The other reason that you want to explore a no and not take it at face value is because you can get some valuable feedback there, right? A no could reveal some insights into how you can modify your offer or your program so that way it could be more valuable. So that way more people would be interested in investing in your program. So no's are good to explore because it can help you understand ways to better tailor your coaching services to others. All right. So those are some reasons why you do not want to take a no at face value. So I want you to think about, like, if someone were to express interest in working with you and maybe they they ask you about your program and they want to know, what does it cost? And they might hear the cost of your program and say, oh, well, that's too expensive, right? So they come to the decision of not wanting to work with you. Well, that is, of course, not an informed decision, right? If we ever are interested in something and all that we know about it is the price, but we don't know the value or the details of what it's going to give us, then just saying no is not an informed decision, right? We don't have context. We don't have information there. We don't understand the value that it's going to bring our lives. The same thing goes with your potential clients, right? If they just hear a price and they say, oh, no, well, that's too expensive, but they don't even understand the real value of your program, then we want to help them in making a more informed decision. So that way they can decide which way to go. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. None of what we're going over here is about pushing anyone to say yes when they don't want to say yes. It's all about understanding their no. And you're going to respect their final decision no matter what. You'll make it clear with your potential clients that after they express some concern or lack of interest in working with you, you're going to make it clear that your intention behind seeking more understanding is not to change their mind. It's to understand them. It's to simply have a greater awareness of what is going on for them. And when you can be transparent in this way, that will also help alleviate hesitations that your potential clients might have about you just trying to push them. So there have been times when I've had consultations and a potential client said that they were not interested in moving forward. And before I would ask them any questions about that, I would say, is it okay if we explore your decision a little bit and what's causing you to have, like, what are your deciding factors? And I don't want you to think that I'm trying to change your mind here. I'm just wanting to understand you more. And that transparency has been very well received. Okay, so you might wonder, like, I'm going to go over a bunch of different questions that you can ask, but I want to lay a foundation here for you to understand that it's not just about knowing what to ask, it's knowing how to ask and your intention behind it. So your energy and your attitude matters just as much, if not more so, than the actual questions that you ask them. So your energy around exploring a potential client's no is, firstly, you're respectful. Okay, so you're asking questions with respect and with empathy. You're making it clear that you are asking them these questions to better understand their needs, not to pressure them at all to do anything that they don't want to do. Second is you are being curious. So you are genuinely curious about their deciding factors and their concerns. That is your goal. Your goal is to learn and to understand, not to convince. Third is you're being patient. So you're allowing your potential client some time to think and respond while you're on that consult connected with them. You're not trying to rush them or bombard them with so many questions. You're patient. You're letting them uncover what is coming up for them, because sometimes they're not even aware of the fears that are causing them to have their immediate no right away. So this is a process that you want to be patient with. And finally, you are open. So you will reassure your client that it's perfectly okay for them to say no or share any concerns. Your role is just to support them in making the best decision for themselves, right? When you have a consultation with a potential client, that is the ultimate goal. You are there to help them make a decision that's going to support themselves. It's not about them being a no. It's not about them being yes. It's them making an informed decision. So you want to be respectful, curious, patient, and open. All right. Now, if a potential client, normally they're going to say why they are a no, but sometimes they might not give any reason. They might just say no. So instead of saying in response to that, well, can you tell me why don't you want to join my program, or why don't you want to hire me? You might say something instead like, okay, I completely understand if this isn't the right program or fit for you or the right time. Would you mind sharing a bit more about what factors are influencing your decision? I'd love to learn more so I can better support you or improve my offerings. And I'll share that one more time. So if a potential client were to say no without giving any explanation why they are a no, which by the way doesn't happen very often, then you wouldn't just ask them, well, why not? You would say, I totally understand if you're not interested in moving forward. Would you mind sharing a bit more about the factors that are influencing your decision? I'd love to learn more so I could better support you or improve my offerings. All right. Now, most of the time, your clients are going to share with you some specific reasons why they are a no. And I'm going to go over the most common reasons that potential clients would give, and then some different approaches you might want to consider taking. Now, I'm just giving you an overview here, big picture. We go a lot deeper into this in Thriving Coach Academy. We give our students a whole manual that guides them through all the different questions that they could ask. We give them an entire consultation template so they know exactly what questions to ask in their consultation. So that way those calls are very inspiring and very transformational, and in no way convincing or manipulative or pushy or any of those things. There is a way to really genuinely market yourself and connect with clients and invite them to work with you from a very authentic place. And that's what we're about. That's what we're here for. So you will get so much more of this broken down inside the academy. This is just giving you the big picture to have a general idea. So let's first start at where you might experience a no. So at what points in you running your business? When will no's happen? Well, one, as I've referenced earlier, is at the end of a consultation. So generally you'll have a consultation, which is a 1-hour phone call with a potential client. And at the end of that, in the second half of that call, you'll talk about your program and you'll invite them to work with you. So your clients might be a yes or they might be a no. So this is one area that they may express the word no. The second is if you are doing a webinar or a workshop. Now in the academy, we give our students done for you webinar and workshop guides that lays out exactly how to provide a transformational webinar or workshop. And at the end of the workshop, you will invite clients or attendees to become your client. This is also a time when you may have people that express that they're not interested in working with you. Emails is the third place where you might experience a no. So maybe you have a mailing list, and I have a podcast episode on deck where I'm going to talk all about how to handle email marketing and all that. But let's say you have an email list and you're sending out an offer in that list. You're telling people about your program. You might have people respond with a no, that they're not interested. And so also like a lack of an answer, like basically anything that is not a yes is a no. So if it's a lack of response, we're going to put that in no. Lack of response is a form of response. If they're not saying a yes to you, if they're not signing up, right? Or if they're saying yes, but they're still not completing the payment of the invoice, then there's still a no. So it's not a yes. They're not a paying client until the money has gone through and you've actually had that like official transaction occur. So that'll be the third place, is during when you're sending out emails to your mailing list. Next would be at the end of perhaps like a free trial or introductory type of course that you might have. So you might have maybe if you have a coaching course or program, you will give your potential clients like a little slice of that or an introduction to it. And at the end of that, you might invite them to enroll in your full, more robust and comprehensive coach training program. Like a lot of our students, some of them, we have a $97 coaching fundamentals course, which is like a nice slice of our program. It gives our potential students a nice feel for our classroom environment and how our teachers present and some of the unique tools that we provide to our students. So a lot of our potential students will start with that. And at the end of that, we tell them about how they can enroll in our full coach training program, and they're able to go from there. Okay, and the final place where you might receive a no is any other type of marketing campaign that you're doing where the goal is that at the end of that campaign that people will enroll in your coaching services. So those are the majority of the places when you will experience, those are spaces where your clients will be invited to make a decision, right? That's what we're going at here. There are times when your clients will be invited to make a decision, and if they're not a yes and paying to work with you, then they are a no. So those are the times. For newer coaches, the majority of your no's will be happening in your consultations, because that's where you'll guide people. You'll guide them to have a consultation call with you. You'll go through our consultation template we provide, and then your clients will provide you with a yes or a no. Now, let's talk about the reasons that someone might give you a no. The majority of the time that someone would give a no, it is because of fear or confusion. Okay, it might be fear or confusion. And, you might think about, some people say, oh, well, what if someone's just skeptical? I would put skepticism under the umbrella of fear. So if they're fearful, skeptical, That's one typical reason that someone may give for why they're a no, or they're confused. They don't have clarity exactly on what they'd be getting from working with you. So those are the two main emotions that would prevent people from making an informed decision, right? When we live our life from a fear-based place or from a confused, overwhelmed place, this is not an empowering space to move your life forward. Usually when we make fear-based decisions or decisions from an overwhelmed state, we just keep ourselves exactly where we are and we hold ourselves back. So let's talk about how this could show up a little bit more. One is self-doubt. So this will be the most common reason why someone is a no, is they have this fear that they're going to fail. Maybe they failed at other attempts of getting their desired outcomes in the past. So fear is going to be one that may be a reason why they're currently hesitating or not wanting to move forward. The second reason is that they will be worried about spending the money. So they might have this fear that maybe like they're going to spend the money and regret it, or they are going to not really, or maybe like they're just not really sure about the value that they're going to get from the program. And I'm going to go deeper into all these concerns in a moment. So we have fear, the self-doubt, which is like fear of failure. The second is the money, so like fear around spending money. The third is that they are too busy. They think that they're too busy. This could be an indicator that maybe that whatever you're offering, the outcome of what your coaching provides is not a major priority for them, or maybe your program's not flexible enough, which we'll talk about ways to address that. The fourth reason is that they're not really sure about your program or what it's giving them. So they're just confused. They're not sure about the resources they're actually getting. And then the fifth reason someone may be a no is because there's no sense of urgency. Like there's no reason to act now. And I am actually going to devote that to a whole separate episode that I've got coming out really soon called, I think I'm going to call it the 4 stages of selling. And in that, I'll talk about urgency and why it's important to really have a reason for people to act now as opposed to waiting. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you know when that's released. So I want to talk more about the first 4 reasons that I shared. So fear, just the fear that they're going to fail, the money, the time, and then confusion about your program. When you navigate a consultation well, your potential clients are going to feel empowered and clear by the time they are thinking of working with you. They're going to be in a space where they can make an informed decision, right? When we're empowered, when we're clear, we make informed decisions. And again, we give you lots of templates in the client magnet playbook that you'll get in the academy. You'll have all these templates to go through all these different concerns in greater depth. So let's start out with the fear of failure. So if they just have a fear overall that it's not going to work out for them, we want to look at, well, what is it specifically that they're afraid is going to happen? And I like to encourage our coaches when they're working with potential clients to look at the worst and the best case scenario, because a lot of times the brain will just catastrophize and it will think of the absolute worst case scenario, which is usually very unlikely, and it won't give any airtime to the positive or best case scenario. So I encourage you to have your potential clients actually explain to you, what do they think is the worst case scenario of what could happen if they were to move forward? What's the worst possible case scenario? And then you could assess with them, well, how likely is that really to happen? Like on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is completely likely and 1 is not at all likely. They will often reveal to themselves when they do that it's very, very unlikely that the worst case scenario will happen. So just in that acknowledgement, they are becoming way more empowered because they're not letting this invalid fear just run the show, right? If something has a very low likelihood of happening and yet we're going to make decisions around that, then that's ridiculous. We're just holding ourselves back, okay? And then after we look at the worst case scenario, you can have your client look at the best case scenario. So they receive your program, they work with you. What would the best case scenario look like? This allows them to really tap into their more empowered, more conscious self. So they start thinking about all the amazing things that could happen. And this is essential whenever we want to transform and grow and move forward. It's so important that we can at least picture what that would look like. Because if we can't, then it's very unlikely that we're going to move forward. So it's so important that our client has some kind of vision or picture of what they want and what they see their life to look like when they start having these amazing results that they'll get from working with you or going through your program. So you have your client get very clear about what the best case scenario would look like. And then you can even ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is the best case scenario to happen? And majority of your time, your clients are going to feel way more excited and hopeful about the best case scenario than the worst case scenario. So this does a really good job of addressing that fear, which is not really rooted in anything valid because it's so unlikely to happen anyway. Now, one of the other ways that you'll be able to dissolve this self-doubt that your clients may have about working with you is have success stories. Be able to have success stories that they could hear from, they can learn from before they even get on the phone with you. So like with Thriving Coach Academy, we have a whole page on our website of student success stories. We send them out to all of our potential students. So by the time they even decide about enrolling in our program or scheduling a call with our team, they already have an idea of what's possible because they can hear the exact stories of people, many people like them, who have already achieved the exact results that they want to achieve. Okay, so having success stories is really important, as well as because you want to share that with your potential clients to help dissolve those fears of them failing. So those are some considerations to have if your potential client is a no. They're initially a no because they're afraid they're going to fail. The second reason is if there's a fear about the money. Like they maybe think that it's expensive and it's scary. And like the thing is, whenever we're looking to invest in something or not, one of my mentors said it's either that there's no such thing as I can't afford it. It's only I don't value this, or how can I find a way to afford it? Like those are the only two paths that you take. So you eliminate the disempowering sentence of I can't afford it, which never gets us anywhere. And instead you look at any buying decision as how can I afford it? So you just ask yourself how, because when you want something, you will find a way to afford it. So how can I afford it? Or you just honor that this is not what I want. So it's either I don't want it or how can I afford it? All right. So essentially when our potential clients have a concern around the investment, they may be unsure around the cost of not investing in your work and working with you, because there's a cost no matter what decision we make, right? There's a cost of saying yes, which is going to be whatever you're charging, your investment amount, whether it be 5K or 10K, whatever. But then there's also the cost of not receiving the support. Okay, so the thing is, I want to share with you a really interesting way to see this that could be a helpful way for you to understand how to address this when it comes up with potential clients. So ignorance is the number one thing that shuts the door on opportunities in our life, having ignorance and just not being aware. Okay, so when a potential client, when they're not seeing the cost of not having your support in your program, then that could be something that holds them back. Because the greatest cost that we ever have in our life is ignorance or lack of awareness. So every single day, there are different opportunities out there that could help us reach our goals. But when we're not aware of those strategies and opportunities, then we miss out on the chance to implement them and reap the benefits. So here's a specific example. Let's say that you want to earn $200,000 per year. You want to make $200K per year. So for every year that goes by that you do not know how to make $200,000 per year, your ignorance is costing you $200,000. Following me so far? Okay, so I'll say it one more time. If you want to make $200,000 a year, right, which is possible, every year that goes by that you do not know how to make $200,000 a year, you're costing yourself that amount. Your ignorance is costing you that amount. So the longer that you remain unaware of how you can achieve your income goal, the more time you waste and the more money that you are wasting as well. So each year of ignorance is another year that you're not earning the potential 200K or more. Okay, so if you think about like a decade goes by, and in all those years you want to make 200K a year and you don't, your ignorance has cost you $2 million, if my calculations are correct, right? $200,000 times 10 years. I have to check on my calculator just because, okay, my math brain is turned off when I'm recording podcasts. So your ignorance costs you $2 million when you go 10 years not knowing how to make $200,000 per year. Now, if you want to make $250K per year or more than that, the same exact principle applies. Now, let's say that you can learn how to make $200K per year, but it costs you $20,000 in order to learn how to do that. Now, this, by the way, like if you're struggling with this, I want you to know, like, it's okay. Re-listen to this episode. This whole mentality took me several years to really wrap my mind around. But once I got it, I stopped living paycheck to paycheck. Like I got myself out of this very, very low income state. And it was liberating when I finally got it. So if you can learn to make $200K per year and you pay $20K for that, right? Originally, our fear-based mind might go, oh, $20K is expensive. That costs a lot. But when we have a greater awareness, we realize we're actually costing ourselves $200K per year in ignorance because of our ignorance. Does that make sense? So the $20K is actually a steal because you're learning how to make $200K. Okay, so like this is the bigger picture how we want to understand buying decisions and making sure that our clients are very clear around what is the cost of them not working with you. Because there's going to be a cost no matter what. There's going to be the financial cost of them working with you, but if they don't work with you, they're costing themselves not knowing how to have whatever outcome or result that is that they want in their life. So you don't have to be a business or financial coach offering a program that helps people generate income. I was just giving you that one example before. You might be a health or fitness coach, and if you think about it, right, if you're charging $10K and your clients are thinking, oh, that's really expensive, well, we think about how aware are my potential clients of the cost of their own ignorance, the cost of not knowing how to achieve the health goals they want or resolve the health problems they want. Is this making more sense now? Right? So you think about what's the cost of being out of shape or maybe a very unhealthy weight or dealing with illnesses and diseases, right? What's the cost that has on you and your family and everyone that you care about? When we're starting to become aware of the costs, we realize that there's going to be a cost no matter what, which opportunity is going to get us more towards the life that we want to live. Okay? So your program doesn't have to provide that financial value to your clients. It doesn't have to be, a business type of program, entrepreneurship program, but it does have to be clear on what value it's providing and the cost of them not having that support. Okay. One other thing to consider if you've got a lot of potential clients who are, their main reasons they're saying no is because of the investment for your program. Instead of lowering your prices, which is generally not recommended, what you could do is offer a low ticket or free resource for them to get started. Okay, so for example, in Thrive and Coach Academy, we are a premium valued coach training program. So we know that a lot of people at first may not be like ready to go right away. So we have this podcast, we have our coaching fundamentals course. That's only $97. Like we have a lot of resources for people to get started with, so that way they can see the value, and so that way they could feel more informed about the decision that they're making. So think about if you have a high ticket program, 5K, 10K or beyond, and you're having the money concern come up with your potential clients, what is a lower ticket or free resource that can get them started? Okay, this will help them recognize the value of working with you and the cost of not working with you at that higher level. Okay, so let's finish up with these last couple. The third one is on your potential clients are saying they're too busy. So they have that concern around time. Well, one question for you to reflect on as a coach is, how flexible is your program? Okay, so can your program be adjusted to be more accessible or flexible for them? Like what kind of time commitment are you requiring? Is there a way for you to offer your program in a way that's more accommodating to people's different schedules? So that's always one question that could be helpful as you're creating amazing offers. Like in Thrive and Coach Academy, we have a lot of things. Most of our students are they're adults, they've got families, they've got full careers, they have things going on in their life. So we made sure to have a program because I remember Like, I know that there's other coach training programs out there that want people to sit in a hotel room for 30 hours a weekend and fly out and be away from their family. And it's just not ideal. We hear about this a lot. And my team and I decided from the get-go, we're not going to do that. We want this to be flexible. We want this to be accommodating for people's schedules. So that way they're not having to inconvenience themselves. So we only require about like 3 to 5 hours of training per week. You're able to go faster if you want, but it's flexible no matter what. Okay, everything's recorded. If we're missing a call, you can get the recording. So that way you're always feeling like you're on track, you're staying on track, you're not falling behind. So are there ways you can make your program or your coaching more flexible? The other thing to think about is how much of a priority is your program and the results that they see themselves getting from it. So how important is this really? You want to make sure you're asking them questions that assess that ahead of time. So before they even come to the decision of working with you, you're asking them questions about like why is getting support important to them? Why is achieving the goal that they want to achieve important to them? Or why is it important that they resolve the challenge that they have? Right? We want to make sure that we understand how much a priority it is. I have one question I've always asked in my consults: how committed are you to the success that you'd like to have here? Like, we're going to lay out all the steps for you. How committed are you to applying them? So that could be a great question, just to see how committed someone is, how much of a priority it is for you to have to get what you're offering them. And then finally, the last of the 4 most common concerns that potential clients might have is they're just confused. They're not really sure about what they're getting in your program. So you can simply ask them, if they reveal that this is the reason that they're a no, what is it that you can clarify them? Like, what specific aspects of the program are they uncertain about? How can you make it more clear so they can understand it? So this is what you can provide to them. You want to make sure you're answering their questions. Sometimes it's just that, like, I've had experiences in the past where a potential client was a no, and then when I would probe it deeper with them, they'd say, oh, because I don't think I'm getting blank. And I say, oh, actually you are getting that. And they would say, oh, I didn't even realize I was getting that. And then they go ahead and sign up. So you want to make sure that you have your clients very clear about what they're actually going to get. Make sure your offer is presented in a clear way to them. Okay, so those are the approaches that you want to take. The overall message I want you to get from this episode is to not take the no at face value. Be respectful, be curious, be patient, be open. All right, your potential clients will appreciate you for wanting to understand them. They will appreciate you for wanting to really explore what it is that's on their mind. Remember, your goal here is to not convince or manipulate anyone to become a yes. This is not about just closing a deal. This is about inspiring your potential clients to make the most informed decision. And when you approach those conversations with the strategies I've mentioned in this episode, this will be a powerful way for you to build a very meaningful relationship and also offer greater value for the people that you aim to serve. All right. So that's what I got in this episode on what to do when a potential client says no. Before you go, I'm going to include a short interview that I had with one of our students inside Thriving Coach Academy. They're going to share with you their experience in starting their coaching business and their tips for you to become a successful coach. So enjoy their story, and I will see you in the next episode.
I'm Nanika Thompson. I'm the founder and principal of Mariama Consulting. About a year ago, I came to a point in my career where I was ready to take the leap into entrepreneurship. It had always been something I considered, but I really felt ready to do it after 15 years working for someone else. So I decided to take my experience helping businesses improve their worker skills into my own hands. And I started my own company, consulting, but doing some coaching on the side. But I was never formally trained in coaching. So it was at that point where I decided that I wanted to take what I was kind of doing on the side and bring it under my company, but learn how to do it right. As a consultant, there were organizations looking to hire me, and they said, we want to hire you as a coach. So they were using the term coach. So I found Thriving Coach Academy on the ICF website, and I scheduled a consultation with the admissions team. And what I learned was that the program was so comprehensive and so fast paced. It was what I was looking for. I realized it was for me. And throughout the program, everything's been really interactive. The trainings have been intensive. And I knew that this was a place where I could progress quickly. Just a few months into the program, I discovered an amazing corporate coaching opportunity, and I just decided to apply. I wasn't done with the program yet, but I went ahead anyways. Part of the interview process was mock coaching. So, because Thriving has you do these Zoom practice sessions, I was already prepared. I overcoached. Like, they were like, okay, like the coaching that you're giving us is like, and by the end of the interview, they were so impressed, they hired me on the spot. And now I have a 12-month coaching opportunity as that I can bring under my consulting business. And now I see more opportunities to provide corporate career coaching, and I'm not even certified yet. The instruction is absolutely top notch. Every professional that I work with is talented, they're engaging, and they're experienced, and they want me to win in my business. Throughout the program, I was learning tools and techniques for actual coaching, but there's also this really great business development part of the course. This is the best professional development investment that I've made in myself, because it's really not just a training program, it's an experience. And it just shows through and through by the way that the program is put together, the care and of the materials, the group format. I was able to build my network from the very first training session. The coaching I was doing before is nowhere what I'm doing now. And I've expanded so much from what I understand coaching to be now. Before enrolling, I thought that the training was going to be too basic. I thought I would need to invest in more business training, but I found everything under one roof. So I've been through a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, countless training programs, and Thriving Coach Academy is really stellar training. It's really a top-notch program. I would tell anyone who's considering Thriving Coach Academy that you will be blown away with the investment that you are making in yourself. It will exceed your expectations.
Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coaches' secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.